Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, bringing you more news. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is a 15-year teacher, won Teacher of the Year. This takes place in California. I'm going to use much better vocabulary. She was caught red-handed with a 13-year-old. Yes, she was caught red-handed. Now, I will say this about the teaching profession. If men are caught doing anything with female students, they go to jail for a long time. It's almost a life sentence. But what about these female teachers? Over the past, I'm going to say back to 1995, there's been a rash of female teachers who have been involved with students. Now, of course, the ramifications for female teachers aren't the same as they are for men. Let me repeat that one more time. The ramification for female teachers isn't the same for men, but yet a number of women talk about equality. When equality doesn't work, when the same crime takes place. Now, why? Well, you're going to have the court of public opinion say they're used to seeing men commit these crimes of basically statutory rape against women. All that be true, or let's say against female students. I mean, you saw the incident in Michigan. You see it all over the place with men. But how many times have you seen it with female teachers? And it seems to me that they get a slap on the wrist. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and read you this article here. California Teacher of the Year faces 15 charges for inappropriate relationship with student. Let me correct myself. I said 15 years. No, she faces 15 charges. Okay, just because you face 15 charges, what is she really going to be convicted on? Is she going to get a slap on her wrist? Now they say inappropriate relationship with 13-year-old students or a student. Now, again, if this were a man involved, then you're going to hear the feminists come out and cry, they should castrate him. But we're the feminists when women actually have inappropriate relationships with men or boys. You don't hear it. And then you hear the ignorant men come out and say, well, got a 13-year-old having a relationship with an older woman. And you're going to hear a lot of ignorant men say that too. But the problem is you have a number of men out here, they won't come out and say anything because they have a belief that they won't be believed. Let's continue with the story. This is from Nation City, California, or let's say National City, California. Well, an elementary school teacher in National City, California was arrested and charged for an inappropriate relationship with her 13-year-old former student, according to police. Now, yes, for you black women out there, this is not a black woman. So I don't want to hear that white women do it too, Latin women do it too. We already know that. She looks more Asian, but regardless of race and ethnicity, wrong is wrong. Now, Jacqueline Ma, 34, is accused of child sex abuse for sending lewd photographs and videos to a then 12-year-old boy when she was a sixth grade teacher at Lincoln Acres Elementary. Now, I live here in Indiana. Now, there used to be a gentleman, he's from Indiana, named Jason, who was on a Subway commercial. Now, he got caught for child pornography, and he's basically serving a life sentence. But she, Jacqueline Ma, has done the same thing. But she's just been charged. No time has been set. Now, Ma was first arrested on May 7th and then released on bail, according to police. She was rearrested on Thursday with additional felony charges and is currently being held without bail at the Los Colonies detention facility. The teacher faces up to 15 felony charges, including lewd acts with a child with possession of child pornography. Now, during a hearing on Monday, Deputy District Attorney Drew Hart called the defendant obsessive, possessive, controlling, and dangerous while sharing details regarding photos and videos of the victim. Now, when she was arrested, she had a photograph of the victim in her wallet. She had jewelry with his initials. Love matters were discovered in her classroom. In some of the messages, she expressed frustration at the child for not responding to the situation quicker. She expressed jealousy when the victim was talking to other girls. Now, again, this female teacher is 34 years old enough to be that 13-year-old's mother. Now, again, ask yourself, what if men were caught? Feminists, the media would be all over it. This is why men don't want to go into the teaching profession, because the teaching profession is going to accuse men of a lot of things. In fact, I don't believe the teaching profession cares about male teachers. It used to be a time where there were male teachers. I had a male teacher for industrial arts, for gym, for band, for music, for English, physics, mathematics. When I was in high school, middle school, and I learned a lot. The female presence, I had a little bit of that as well, but the male presence was a lot different. The male teachers that I had were very strict, and you didn't hear of any of this occurring. Now, again, according to the prosecutors, Ma communicated with the student through a texting app where she encouraged him to hide their messages. Ma would allegedly send illicit photographs of herself to the student and ask the victim to do the same. Prosecutors said that she would persistently tell him to engage in sex acts while he was at home. Okay, the sex acts that she's probably talking about would be masturbation. Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe. You're going to have the court of public opinion say this woman is insane, crazy. However, she's being charged with 15 felonies. 15 felonies. She was arrested and rearrested. Now she's in a detention center without bail. Now, what happens with this hearing? Is she going to be released again and put out on the streets with freedom? I don't know. But when it comes to fairness, men aren't given the same treatment when they do the same thing. In fact, they're put on a list, a sexual offenders list. Is this woman who's teaching going to be put on a sexual offenders list? Furthermore, is she going to lose her job? I don't know, but those are questions that should be asked. Now, the victim expressed at times not willingness to go along with some of the activities or uncomfortableness with the activities, but that did not stop the defendant from continuing to message, they said. Ma pleaded not guilty to all felony charges, including child pornography, sexual exploitation of a child, and attempting to dissuade a witness from testifying. Her attorney, Mario Vela, cited a clean criminal record and argued for her to be released on bail. However, Judge Carlos Varela deemed Ma a flight risk and held her on a no bail status. Ma's defense attorneys called for a bail review, which is scheduled for March 16th. Investigation into this case remains ongoing. Now, if Ma is convicted of all 15 charges, she may face up to 29 years in state prison. Now, Ma was named one of 5 2022-2023 Teachers of the Year in Cox's annual showcase of educators. Now, she holds a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree in education from the University of California, San Diego. She had been teacher in the National School District since 2013. In a profile about her award, Ma told Cox that she considers the relationships she maintains with her students her greatest accomplishments, according to NBC7. Okay. That being said, does this woman seem a bit crazy? Now, I've done a number of videos on psychology. Now, follow me here. She could be talking in riddles on purpose to make people think she's crazy. But 15 felonies. So she hasn't even been charged with any of them. She's just basically been cited for 15 felonies. Again, arrested and rearrested. Well, in the end, she may get a slap on her wrist. Again, she may get a slap on her wrist. Now, what does that say for men in this country teach who've gotten life, sexual offenders registry? And this is why a number of men have problems with the laws in this country. A number of women want fairness, but is that fairness? When a man does something, he's really made examples of. You look at Bill Cosby. I mean, you look at R. Kelly. Not saying R. Kelly is innocent. Bill Cosby have individuals who come out of the woodworks. Look at the individual, I believe her name was Mary Landreau. She was 35 and then had an inappropriate relationship then with a 13-year-old child. And she was married with 4 kids. She was from Alaska. And all she was told to do was to stay away from the 13-year-old. The 13-year-old got her pregnant and he was paying child support. Meanwhile, nothing much happened to, I believe her name was Mary Landreau. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know her name was Mary. And then you had other teachers get away. Some of them may have lost their jobs at that particular jurisdiction, but got other jobs. But again, what does that say for men? See, we men have to be responsible for everything we do, and that's the problem. That's why I do not encourage men to go into the education profession. Even if we're going to be principals, assistant principals, even to the level of custodian, because there's a chance that we could be allegedly doing something if we're even talking to somebody who is much younger than we are. And allegedly just means it could have happened. It may not have happened. But in the end, as men, we're not going to get treated the same way. In fact, even the men, if a man is caught allegedly having an inappropriate relationship, male teacher with a student, the men, they're also going to jump on the side of the feminists without any facts being released or cited. But meanwhile, this woman, Jacqueline Ma, 34 years old, Teacher of the Year. Now they're going to use that Teacher of the Year and the fact that she had no criminal record. Okay, if she had no criminal record, how did she end up with 15 felonies? That's right, she hasn't been charged yet. But what is she going to get if she's charged? Okay, she was released on bail the first time, but rearrested. So are female teachers in this profession going to be revolving doors when it comes to the detention centers? From this case, it looks like it. You see, in this country, a number of women can basically lie about a man sexually assaulting them. Look at I think her name was Crystal Mangum, the Duke lacrosse case. She lied about those 3 Duke lacrosse players sexually assaulting her. I believe there was a 25-year-old in Nevada. She got caught. But just because you get caught, what kind of penalty are you going to serve? That's the question that we really need to ask. Now, the laws in this country, the reason why I call them archaic, because they basically give the women all the breaks and the men the harshest penalties. Now, why? Because the men were the ones who were committing the crimes like RAPED, domestic violence, statutory rape, or correction, statutory RAPED. The men were doing it. And society still believes that men are the ones committing those crimes. Now, that is true, but there are a number of women who are doing the same thing. In fact, nobody says anything about predatory women out here. They just let it fly. The problem is, when it comes to the laws out here, and this is what men have to understand, unless men stand up and say something and even run for office, start putting bills forth through the House and Senate and through their government, nothing's ever going to change. But what we have to do is still report what's going on. Because a number of women in the teaching profession are innocent. And they're not innocent in the workforce, but they get away with a lot. And that's why they feel entitled or believe they're entitled. I will say this, as a teacher, if you're male in the education field, you need to watch your back. Because if you fail a student, they could come back and say you did something to them. I'm talking about on the college level, because there's a lot of shenanigans that takes place. But the teaching profession, to me, the educational system, the teaching profession, it's marked with Marxist, feminists. It's basically marked with individuals that care nothing about the students. They care about themselves. Now, of course, when it comes to the education profession, the NEA sponsors a lot of the contracts. It's a big union. But in the end, do you believe that the consequences are the same for men and women when it comes to inappropriate conduct? I'm talking about men and women, educators, teachers, when it comes to inappropriate conduct with underage students. You be the judge and let me know in the comment section. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, you check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, if you can't find me on YouTube or can't find me on Rumble, which I will be posting content on Rumble, you can check me out on Twitter. And I'm talking about both channels. Mainly on Rumble, I'll put some information from the 401 Talk Zone radio show channel. Now, the name of that channel is the 401 Talk Zone radio channel 2. Just haven't posted anything on Rumble. But again, if you can't find the 401 Talk Zone radio show or the QCIS channel on YouTube, both of those channels will appear on Twitter. Now, for the QCIS channel, I'll take it one step further since it is an education channel. And before I go, I apologize about the lighting. I'm going to work on getting some better lighting. My ring light blew out, but I'm going to continue to work on the situation and get better lighting. Now, back to the content. You can't find the QCIS channel on Twitter because I take that channel a little differently than I do the 411 Talk Zone radio show channel because it's more of an education channel. You can find that channel on my LinkedIn page. And in the end, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones. You have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.